Yo, this is Skip Flanagan with Grassroots Records, and I'm here chilling with H-Time Buzz. Let me see what they got in this thing right here. I think they got all these questions. Let's see what's going on in here, man. Questions. Oh, okay. What's your take on the rise of streaming and how it affects rap? That's a deep, deep, deep question that needs a deep answer. Um, Man, streaming was probably the worst thing that ever happened to rap music and music as a whole, even movies. You know, coming from a generation where you had record stores where you can go and buy the actual record and get in your car and listen to it. You know, if you had a date or something with a female, you know, you just went choose a album or something that you want and you grabbed and you could see the inside of the cover, you could see the pictures, and you got to know the artist itself. You know, what was going on in that city, you know, what was he about, how did he dress. So that was like a big change when they started streaming and giving away the music for free. And now that they are doing that, you know, nobody actually does the footwork anymore. Nobody looks for an album when it's coming out. Everybody just waits on streaming, and nobody really streams because you're missing a whole market of older people that don't even know how to use streaming. So you're missing a whole market, and so it affects the rap industry negatively versus positively, if you ask me. Let me get some more questions. Got two of them to pick one back. How important is it for you to give back to your city? I mean, it's very important. I always acknowledge Houston in all my songs, but I think it's very important to identify yourself with your city because if you don't, then your city won't rock with you. So that's very important. Okay. What's the most inspiring place in Houston for you? I got a lot of restaurants that I go to that I like. But I think when you say inspiring as far as what makes other people may come here, it got to be the Reliance Stadium and the Toyota Centers and stuff like that. But when I decide to eat, I like to go to Kima, and it's a restaurant called Top Water Grill. So I got to plug Top Water Grill for all the good food and the yachts and boats I always see there. So let me go to another question. Uh, what's the best advice you would give to someone starting music? First of all, I would say don't listen to nothing that nobody else says do when it comes to music, because music is an art form. You know, contrary to how people do music these days and want you to be like that artist and this artist and that artist. Just keep your own identity. You know, do music, do it, have fun with it even. You know, don't concentrate too much on the money as much as the art, and just do you. What's the place in Houston where everyone should visit at least once? What do they should? Where? I mean, I think the Kima area. You know, I think a lot of people uh, don't know how pretty it is out there. You know, when you travel, a lot of people travel to go see water and scenery, and Kima is a scenic area. I think Kima should be somewhere that everybody should visit if they come here. Kima and Galveston, even though they try and talk about our water, it's a beautiful place as well. What's the moment in your career where you felt pure joy? Well, it's a bunch of those, but since we're talking about music, I think it was when America's Best Dance Crew sent me a letter saying that they want to play my song H-Town is Where You Need to Be on their show. You know, and Al Bell uh, got the album and he asked me, was it my album? And he was excited about it. You know, that was some fun times of my life. You know, Haley Berry on MySpace, you know what I'm saying, when MySpace was kicking. You know, I think that was the best time in music for me. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would that be? I think that would be Martin Luther King. You know, and a lot of people don't like Martin because he was more of a diverse individual, but Martin Luther King was probably one of the smartest guys I've ever done research on. You know, he was thorough on his knowledge, and he wrote a book called Where Do We Go From Here? And in that book, he talked about how if we as black people didn't pay attention to detail, instead of being the doctor, the lawyer, the science, and business owners, we would be the doctor's helper, the lawyer's assistant, and stuff like that. And that's exactly where we're at now. And Bill Cosby also, he was trying to be proactive in what he was saying and doing as well. And now we're at a point where we're so dysfunctional, and we actually got to go back to doing the same things that they warned us about. So Martin Luther King, we could be sit side across the table from each other, you know, eating and talking. Uh, if you could bring back one deceased artist for a collab, who would it be? Woo. You know, R. Kelly. Not R. Kelly, he ain't dead yet, but he's locked up. He might well be dead. But it'll probably be Tupac. If it's rap, it's Tupac. You know what I'm saying? But the R&B legends that I admire are still here. Ronald Isley, Charlie Wilson, and people like that. So, you know, those would be the ones that I would probably, uh, you know, want to collab with. What do you think about rap's role in the global music scene? I think at this point it's a negative role in the music scene because of the drill music and because of how our culture has evolved into this gangster culture where nobody can be positive. You know, everything has to be negative. And salute to A. Sean Buzz for taking the initiative and the proactive means of trying to change that narrative. So I think rap has a negative role right now, but we're moving in the right direction. This is a moment, you know, as well. So I'm looking forward to my interview. Which Texas artist, past and present, made you feel seen? Well, the thing with Texas artists, and it's not a negative, it's not a tear down, it's like they're more selfish than anything. You know, everybody doesn't like to acknowledge other people unless you're in a special little group and stuff like that. But I think Scarface did a lot for the city, you know what I'm saying, in a way that he was more cultural and can reach out a lot of different ways. But for the most part, you know, we got a lot of work to do when it comes to, you know, our artists and being, you know, more universal and reaching out to others and being more collaborative. What's the best show you ever done? Uh, in Miami. You know, Streets Don't Love Me had just came out, and I was in Miami with Radio Pushers, and man, that was a phenomenal show at a venue, at a mansion. You know, I went to House of Hits, had Drummer Boy in there, you know, and that was like one of the highlights of my rap career, even though I haven't did as many shows as I should, but that was one I can highlight. Put that back in there, 2 minutes. How do you protect your creativity in a world that wants content 24/7? Basically, what I do is I consider that what I do is art. I create art. I'm actually dropping 3 albums, and I don't, like I was with the advice that I was giving to the youngsters, I don't go get into what everybody else is doing. I basically do who I am. You know what I'm saying? Even though the moment calls for drill music or whatever it calls for, I just do me. I love music. I love listening to beats and making songs, and I love creating them from scratch. So the only way I protect my creativity is by being me and staying creative. Do you get writer's block? How do you overcome it? I don't. If I hear a beat or, you know, it's just the way I create music. And that goes with the question that was just asked. You know, when you're doing music, I capture moments in time. So whatever's happening in this moment right now, you know, I'm going to write about. You know, I just need a beat to fit the moment, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write depending on whatever that moment is. We can go out 100. What do you want people to feel when they hear your music? You know, I'm a combination of the older generation and the newer generation rap. I don't do the killer rap, you know, in none of my songs will you ever hear me promote killing and drugs and stuff like that. So, you know, I got more of a R. Kelly, Ronald Isley, Tupac-ish like vibe, you know what I'm saying? So you're gonna hear the melody. You know, I'm a soulful guy, old guy, soulful. I like to talk to the women. You know what I'm saying? I want to go to the show, and I like the women look. I like looking in their eyes and tease them a little bit. So, you know, that's what you're gonna hear with my music. A lot of soul. They told me I got to go all 100. So y'all be patient. We finna go about 20 more of these. 20, huh? He say the deuce is 20. Have you ever changed the verse because it was too personal? You know, that's crazy you ask that question because I used to tell people a lot of the music that I do, I don't talk about some of the stuff that I went through because it's so personal. You know, uh, growing up hard, I used to tell people, man, I can't go tell people, man, I had a big old hole in my roof. You know what I'm saying? When you try to tell people you got a bunch of money and rich, but now every verse that I wrote, I was always cautious of not being too personal because if I was to record that verse, I'd be crying listening to it. So, I only recorded stuff that, I liked or that related to that song. 20 more? Okay, sounds good to me. I'm with it. If you had to be stuck in the elevator for 12 hours with one celebrity, who would it be? It won't be Diddy. I mean, nah, let me see. You know, wait, man. Halle Berry, she cool, but she fell off. I don't know. Who would I be in that elevator with? Angel Reese, she too young. They gonna tell you she too young. Uh, I don't know. I guess Haley. I gotta stick with Haley. She been rocking all these years. We're just gonna go with Halle Berry. So, yeah. They told me they want me to do 20 more, but they say they want me to come back and do the other 20. But what you can do is you can check me out on Skip Flanagan everything. Hashtag Skip Flanagan. Check out the Go Gear. You know what I'm saying? Skip Flanagan apparel book. Your only choice is become rich. Got a kids book called The Spiritual Wizard, and got a new book I'm writing called I'm a Mason, My Masonic Journey, one side to the other. But y'all stay up, man. Enjoy it here with H-Time Buzz, man. All you artists stay up, man. Stay strong, stay creative.